Are you in for a treat today? I don't think I've ever had a guest who is as high energy as Lisa Asbell. And she reached out to me on my Not Your Average Grandma Facebook page, and she wanted me to come in and talk to her community, which we haven't scheduled yet. But I said, well, let's get on a Zoom call and let's chit chat. And oh my gosh, we talked for probably an hour and 15 minutes. And she was just so much fun. She made me feel so like, when that somebody has this high energy vibe, it's like, number one, it attracts you to them. And number two, it spreads to you. It's like contagious. So I loved it. And so I asked her to come on as a guest on my podcast. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to chit chat because she's just somebody that is fun to have around and to have in your life, even though she lives in Florida. So she's lives a bit farther from me than we can't get together for coffee, but we can certainly get together on Zoom. And when I go to Florida, I'll have to look her up. So I hope you enjoy this interview. She shares about her weight loss journey. She's lost, I think she said 130 pounds, over 100 pounds. And she lived overweight for so long. And it's funny because she didn't get overweight until she was, and I think later in college. So almost 20 maybe, because she was an athlete and she spent a lot of time being an athlete. And she just got into, this bad place in life where she used food. And for whatever reason, she didn't stop eating. She kept eating and she kept eating. And the thing that she is so interesting is that she never lacked in confidence, it sounds. She's always very successful in her career. She's very driven. And then one day, not too long ago, about 18 months ago, and she's in her 50s, she decided she didn't want to be overweight anymore. And she took the action. She just was dedicated. She saw that who she wanted to be, and she started being that person. And that's what you got to do. If you have a goal and you want something, you have to start taking the action and being that person before you actually hit the goal. So she really changed her nutrition and she looks amazing. And I'm so happy to call her a new friend. And I would love to introduce you to her. So let's listen to the interview. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Lives. And today is going to be fun because I have Lisa Asbell, and Lisa is, I got a whippersnapper. I mean, I don't know how else to describe her, but she reached out to me on my Not Your Average Grandma page, which not many people do. And she just wanted to have a conversation with me. What I love, Lisa, and we'll get into your backstory in a second, but what I love about Lisa is that she reached out to me because she wanted me to come talk into her community. It's like so many people, when they reach out, they want something from it, but you just wanted to have a conversation with me and wanted to know. And granted, you wanted me to talk to your community, but you really just wanted to learn more about me. You just wanted to learn more about me. And then when we got on it was over an hour we talked.
We never even recorded anything.
No, we just had
a good time.
Yeah, we just had a Zoom call and we just really connected. And then I was like, well, you should come on my podcast because she's got an amazing story to share. A lot of people reach out to me and say, can I come on your podcast so I can pitch my thing? That's what they want. Their intent is, but you're such a service oriented heart person, because you were like, oh, I think she could inspire my community and let me just have a chat with her. And so I loved your whole approach because, it was just,
It's a choice, Lori, and
organic.
I work on it every day like everybody else.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we all always want to put ourselves first,
Yeah.
So I have to say, wait a minute, this would be somebody that I would like to know and get to know more about her, and I do, but I have to work on that.
Yeah. So let's get into your backstory. So Lisa, just a little bit of a background. She's 54. She's a little bit younger than me. She is Southern, as you can tell, which makes her even, I think, greater. I just love, when somebody has a Southern accent, it's just so inviting. It's like, come on to my porch. Come on to my porch.
I've been covering the Northeast for years, flying back and forth. And now that I'm grounded for a year, I'm like, even though I'm in Florida, I've got that influence, of all the Southern people around me and my family. and I lost my northern accent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't have an accent. I don't think Virginians are just like, they're right in the middle. They don't have an
You do a little
accent.
bit. You do a little bit, maybe.
Okay. So she's had quite a weight loss journey. And to look at her, she is beautiful.
Oh,
And I can't see your whole body, but she looks super fit. And she's also wearing a headband. Oh, she's wearing white. And white people don't wear white usually because, but you look amazing. Yes. And so she has lost over 100 pounds she started her journey about 18 months ago. So one of the things I want to talk to her about is, first of all, what happened to let herself get that overweight, number one. And number two is she is the most confident person. I mean, she just comes across as so, I don't know, abundant, enthusiastic, confident. And when I think of people who are overweight, I always think that's what they need is confidence. And so I just want to know, like, I would just want to know so much more about you. I mean, we just talked for an hour when we chatted before, but it was just a little taste, and I wanted to get to know you better, and I wanted my audience to get to know you
oh,
as well. Yeah, and she does have a community which we can talk to about in the latter part of this interview, but we'll put it in the show notes so you guys can follow up with her. And she didn't know what the hell she was doing, and she just like started. And your
I
talk, or you
still
go,
don't.
yeah, you go live on the social media, and I just love that because that's inspiring that you just have this heart for helping. You had a transformation and you wanted to help other people have a transformation and feel as good as you.
And Lori,
Yeah.
even before I had my transformation, I wanted to always help people. If I was good at something, I wanted to try to share that with people. I've always wanted to do that. And
Yeah.
this
Okay.
is,
So
this is no different.
let's talk about, first of all, formally, hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I am so excited to be here. You are delightful, and anybody that's tied to you is fortunate. I
Uh,
mean that you're a delightful person.
yes. And so are you, and they're lucky as well. So let's talk about, because you have quite the background of different jobs and experience. So how did you get to where you are today? And I know that's a loaded question, but you can
Mhm.
start anywhere. But let's,
Okay.
just share with people who you are, who Lisa is, and
All
where your
right.
heart is. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. It is a loaded question. So, first of all, again, thank you for having me. And I hope that if somebody, every time I speak, if somebody could just walk away with just one or two things that they can hold dear to them, that they can either change their life or then pay it forward and share it with somebody else, I consider it to be a big win, for me. So, anyway, just personally. So, I was born and raised in rural South Georgia. I grew up real poor, not a lot of money, but really a lot of love, and there's a lot of pride in our family as far as taking care of ourselves and our property and that kind of thing. But you know, I think that maybe by the time I was in middle school, I really was an entrepreneur. I mean, if there was a chance to come around to sell something or make money or win some kind of prize, or some kind of recognition, I was driven by that. I am a middle child and I was driven by recognition. And at the same time, I was also driven by bringing things together. I was driven by keeping the family together and being that kind of kid in the middle, literally.
Did
And
you, and I have a question. So,
go
because,
ahead.
I think about this from people who was raised middle class. So I don't have the experience of being poor. Although my parents always said, we don't have enough money. So, but what do you think that there was anything that was related to you being poor that drove you? Did you want more for
All
what
of
you
it,
had, or yeah.
all of it, all
Okay.
of it, everything, as it said, contrast, right? Everything different that comes
Mhm.
in our life that we don't want helps us know what we want. So it was
Yeah. I
like,
think sometimes though, with people who are in a bad circumstance, they think that that's just the cards they were dealt. And
but I don't think that not everybody in that situation even knows it's an issue.
mhm, yeah.
People are just happy where they are if they choose to be, whether
Mm,
they're filthy rich or dirt poor.
yes.
And that's a choice. So my family every day chose to be happy and have a clean
Oh,
home and, chose to do things for other people. And that was the way my family chose to do it. But we're
mhm.
still very poor.
Yeah. Did you go to church?
We did.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Church changed my daddy's life. I mean, my mama became a believer, and right after when we were babies, maybe I was an infant. And then my daddy was kind of like the rebel. It took him a minute, it took him a few years, but yeah. And it was they were just, hard workers, but just never had a lot of money. And I was very fortunate that my mother worked at our school, and I was able to go to a private Christian school even being poor, kind of like scholarship, because my mother worked there. And I saw service with her too, because she would work, pay for my tuition for myself and my brother and sister. And then other kids, my mother worked to pay their tuition.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, if their
Nice.
parents couldn't afford it. So it was I learned about community
Hmm.
and culture very young.
Hmm.
And I learned about what I want and what I don't want.
And the
But
gift
for
of
me,
giving, the gift of service.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I learned that from church. I learned it from my parents, Um, but as far as me and my journey, I came out being an entrepreneur. I just always thought there's more. I don't see myself going to a normal job. I think I've got some gifts that I can use to share that would help people. And so I want to be able to do it on a big scale, like I always kind of knew that. And let me just say this about the weight. I was an athlete in high school and in early college when I first went off to college on a sports scholarship to a small private Christian school. And I didn't last long. I fell out of the way. I fell off the wagon pretty quick down there. And anyway, but
So it was an athletic scholarship?
oh yes, oh
Oh,
yes.
okay.
And
And
so
then you told me, I think you said it was you did
in between
basketball and
that time, yeah,
volleyball. Yeah,
basketball,
yeah.
volleyball, both, yeah. And
Okay.
in that time, I had a dual scholarship. And in that time, um, between then and when I was just 20, right before I was 21, I managed to quit playing sports, totally change my lifestyle, drop out of college, and gain nearly 100 pounds. And I'm 54 now, and for 30 years at least, maybe 20, I guess, maybe 20 to 30 years, a long time. I blame that on childhood. I've dropped out of college. I disappointed my parents. I didn't achieve all I was supposed to achieve. And, something traumatic happened to me when I was 8, and something also happened to me when I was 12. And I, these therapists, not that it's not good when it's the right time and the right place. I know it's useful. I'm a medical person, I'm a nurse, right? But they try to make me think that I'm all trapped in the past because of things that happen. And I'm like, I believe that. And so my platform really, I don't know, it changes every day, Laura. You know this work. You know what this is like. But it's very quickly a big part of it is all the myths that people think about losing the
Mhm.
weight, whether it's 20 pounds, 5 pounds, 200 pounds, 100 pounds, it matters not really. I mean, you don't want to be overweight, and you don't want to battle the scale, and you want to be a healthy, fit person. But yet, everybody that's got something to sell wants to tie it to your past, anchor you down, say you can't change, say it's your PCOS, they say it's your insulin resistance, they say it's your menopause, and it's just all not true. Does all
Yes.
that play
Bingo.
I mean, dang, does all
Yeah.
that play a big piece of it? It
Hmm.
does. It does. There is all these little pieces, but the 99% is what you open your mouth and you put down it. And if you've been dealt the blow of a crappy metabolism, deal with it, sister. And it's like it sucks. And I think what I try to teach people to do now, which is what I had to do, is make peace with this is it. This is your childhood. This is what happened to you. This is where you are now. This is your mistakes you've made in your marriage. Okay. These are the mistakes you made in your business. These are personal decisions and mistakes you made. And even if mistakes is the right word, I come from the land of sin and not. And I'm thinking, can't it just be that sometimes you're just doing the best you can out there and you just don't make the best decision?
Yeah.
Why does
Yeah.
it have to be?
One powerful lesson that I learned was that we operate going about our day by always wanting, we operate as who we were and have been up to this point instead of who we want to be. And so
Amen.
we wait to be that person until what we have, when we don't realize that we'll get it if we start to be that person now. So
Yeah.
you start to take and do the behaviors of that which you want. And
Yeah.
then it,
Emerson said, do the thing and you'll have the power.
yeah.
Not get the power and go do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
but do the thing and you'll have the power.
Yeah.
And when I started doing the thing every day, and I didn't let the head game get, I didn't let the scale get, I didn't let what this one get, I didn't, let like, oh God, I ate too much and now I might as well go off the rails. I did the thing, and it gave me the power. I didn't vacillate back and forth and scan one day or track one day and didn't. And then the next day, oh, well, my friends are going out for margaritas. I did not do that. And for 365 days in a row, I did the thing. Because
And when you started, because I remember when we were talking, you had a friend who wanted you to go to Weight Watchers and you were resistant. So, I mean, thank goodness for the friend, but a lot of friends drag us places and we don't commit. And so what was it that made you decide
I just did
to
a
come?
lot
Was
about it,
it a
Lauren.
day at a time
No,
approach, or it was like, I'm doing this long
it
term?
was a season. Can I just tell you, it was a season in my life because I just did a live about this today. I get asked all the time. After 30 years and 100 pounds, I ended up losing, I've lost 130 pounds and I was, nearly almost 300 pounds. And I had been as high as 311. Okay. So really, I've lost over 140 pounds,
And
really, almost
that's when you
140.
weighed yourself. It could have been
Yeah,
even
yeah.
more.
That's when the hospital weighed me.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
ain't never trying to step on the scale that says one at a time, please. Trust me, I've been there. But I get that ask a lot, and I thought, it never was one thing. I one time didn't, and I know we're talking about two different things. So let me talk about this part first, okay? I didn't fit in the ride before. I didn't fit in the booth before. I did. That was in my 20s and 30s. But I was still pretty good mom. I could still shoot hoops with my son in the basketball, in the yard. I'd walk my dogs. I'd run through airports. I was still active in my 20s and 30s, even though I still need to lose 100 pounds because I had been an athlete, So, I would still, up until maybe even in my early 30s or mid 30s, I would play co-ed sports, 80 pounds overweight, 100 pounds overweight, but I'm telling you, in my 50s, this is the point. It started to get me. I started to see my parents aging. I started to see my daddy just clinging for life. I was telling my husband 2 years ago, it's been about 2 years ago before my journey here started. And my mama, I had gone up to visit them in South Georgia, and she said, will you help me? And it's an old computer, that I gave her like 10 years ago. And they just get on the internet with it or whatever. And so she's like, this cable and something's wrong with it. And I'm telling you, I could barely get down on the floor to help my elderly parents with their computer. And I worked in IT, in sales, but still I couldn't get down to work on the computer. And I did, but I thought, wow, this was work. And that it was just one of that things that were leading into a season of change. That it was just then my knee started bothering. I'm like, okay, my A1C may be fine, my blood pressure and all that, because I had always been a walker. I'd always, at least I wasn't immobile, but I had hurt my knee in January of 2019. I hurt my knee in Puerto Rico. That's why that March or April, I could barely get down on the floor at my parents'. I didn't fall. It was nothing like that. Just stepped the wrong way. Didn't even know it the next day. I'm like, wow. I put it off for months of traveling every week, all kinds of resorts, conventions, all these things I had to do for my job and IT sales, dragging my leg. Finally got an MRI. The doctor says it's fine. I said, I'm a nurse for 26 years and I've been dragging my leg over 15 countries and 50 states. My knee is not right. And he goes, your knee's fine. And I walked out of there that day in late July of 2019. And I thought, it's the weight now. No, I ain't on blood pressure medicine. And yes, I'm doing okay. I was pretty. I'm successful. I'm not a total loser. I can walk around the block. But I was sorry if that's offensive. I don't mean that to be offensive to anybody, but I felt very much that way, Lori. We do, whether it's 10 pounds or 100 pounds, but I've learned in the last year of coaching thousands and thousands of women, the 10 pounder girls, they feel just as hopeless as the 100 pound. It's just different challenges. We can literally not walk into a store and buy something off the shelf.
Hmm.
We cannot sit in a booth at a restaurant. We do sit down in a chair and worry about it breaking, but when people asked me about the change, it was like, no, it was all these things. And all of a sudden it was like, this is your season. I got down on my knees one night in my hotel room, and I don't really tell the story, in Columbus, Ohio, on my birthday. And it was the middle of the week. I think it was a Wednesday night. I had met a friend there for lunch and or dinner, and I was there working. And I got down on my knees, and I was like, "Okay, God." So this night in Columbus, Ohio, I just got down on my knees, and I was like, "Okay, God." I'm like at the end of my rope, Jesus, God, Lord, universe, whatever, I mean, just literally grasping for. I just knew, my marriage had been a wreck. I just was unhappy. I just needed a radical change. I hated my job, I was miserable in my career, and you wouldn't know it because I showed up 300 pounds full of joy and confidence. But the inside, I was like, oh, I can't even, the thought of getting naked and taking off my clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like I just loathed my skin, even though I knew that I had all this special stuff. Like I knew I got some special stuff. But I just,
Did you ever feel, when I try to think of what that feels like, because I was overweight when I was like 12, 13 years old, and I lost 30 pounds, and it all became really an obsession where I'm never going to gain weight again, to the
yeah,
point of me doing diets that I should have never done. But so when I get like 10 pounds overweight, I'm like, emergency.
yeah, oh
and
yeah.
and so I wonder what that feels like to be in a body and to feel like it's going to take forever to get to where I want to be.
I can't. If I start articulating it or trying to, I'll be a puddle of tears, and
Mm.
this will be the shortest podcast you've ever done because it is profound and it's so raw, Lori. Every day I put on a pair of pants that's a size 8, or I just did a photo shoot just here in the house, because somebody was saying, when's the last time you found an old pair of pants? Well, I only kept one pair, right? And that's why I have on all white, because I was just showing, you know, the difference, right? And those are my old pants. It's the only thing I have from my past, because every time I would go down a size and I'd go to the thrift store and I'd buy new clothes or whatever, I was like, right in Corona too, can't even go shopping, can't try on anything. I didn't even know what size I was.
Mm.
And I just would keep going every day.
Yeah, and just so people have a visual, she held up to me a picture of her standing in the pants she used to wear, and she could easily put two of herself in those
3.
pants.
I think I
Three.
could put
Okay.
3 of myself in
Yeah.
there. They are they
Crazy.
are 3Xs. I mean,
Wow.
stretched to 4X. I wore those pants nearly every a few times a week. You ready? For 16 years.
Mm.
And
Wow.
not because I don't have money, it's because they were so comfortable. I never could replace them. I looked online, I searched for that brand, and I never could. And they're wide legged, and they were comfortable.
Yeah.
And I wore those pants. I don't know.
So going back to when you said you got to this point where you prayed, and it's not something that you normally do, I find that
Well, I
that
do
is,
normally pray. I'm just saying it was such a prayer of desperation, I
yeah,
think
like
a prayer more of appreciation. You
right.
understand?
Yeah. And I know a lot of times when people get to this point, they kind of like do this thing that, because I'm not religious, but I've just heard Oprah talk about it, but where you surrender, like you surrender and you say, whatever, just tell me, I'll do whatever. And so was that kind of what you did, or what happened
Nobody's
after
ever
that moment?
phrased it like that, Lori, and that's a really beautiful way to phrase it. I guess
Hmm.
I guess in a way, but I didn't. I got to tell you, I don't. It was more of not surrendering to God as much as it was surrendering to be open to whatever I needed to do.
Got it. So
Like
what happened
whatever.
after that? Because it seemed to me like that was a turning
Well,
point,
that was
the way
my
you described it.
birthday. A few weeks
Okay.
later, a friend called me,
Ah,
like, hey, I said, I'm at the end of my rope. I'm talking to these doctors in Mexico, and I know that it's all brain related. I know even if I get my stomach cut off, it will come back if I don't change my ways and my thinking. Like, I knew I had done all the research, I'd done all the coaching, I took in all the classes, I knew. but I was so desperate because I couldn't figure out how to string the days together. Like I
Mm.
knew somehow that the habit thing, because I started studying it, well, it used to be 21 days and then it was 30 and now it's like 250 or 60 days that the average person, but it's because everything that comes at us all the time, everything's getting more complex. And then more people want more complex meal plans, and then the micro and the macro and all that. And it is confusing the heck out of women. And I guess for me, I went calories in, calories out. If I can scan, I could say scan because that's what they do, and I don't do that anymore. But my point was I tracked it. I tracked it. That's why I have a calorie tracker, because it's like you got to wake up now, because it is calories in and calories out. And you can get down to how much you exercise and what movement is and heart rate and BMI. And there's a million different ways to measure health all the way around, because it's holistic, right? It's not just linear as the scale. That's one of the biggest things I've helped women overcome. And for me, I never had a thing about the scale. That's why I can help them. Because I'm
Did
like,
you ever practice rewards? Because, one of the things that I know
no,
there's a debate about
no,
is,
I
yeah,
rewarded myself every time at night, I laid my head on the pillow and I went, you got in 10,000 steps today. You did not storm eat, go off the rails, do a binge.
mm.
You are doing it, sister. And every day that was my reward. Did I get a Gucci belt? I might have.
Well, see, you didn't do food rewards. Sometimes people do
God,
food
no.
rewards, but
Listen,
you like,
listen,
yeah,
listen. Ooh, this is so good. Listen,
I get a cookie if I don't
what?
eat one all week.
No, no. Well, but you know what? But it's because, listen, and this is important stuff too, right? Because this is another one of those myth things, Lori. You can do that because you've learned how to manage it. And you don't have a lot of self loathing and self hate. When you gain the weight, you go, now, girl, get it under control and get yourself back together. Now, you might do a little too much of the whole, God, why do I do that? And why do I let myself go? And why do I, do that? It's harder to lose it than it is put it on. And everybody does that. But that's what a lot of people that get to be 100 pounds overweight don't get. That I'm normal like Lori. Almost everybody does that with a few pounds. I gained 7 pounds when I added back margaritas, and I'm telling you, it was like a skinny margarita, mostly water and tequila.
uh,
And even then, but I had to realize it's not real 7 pounds. It's inflammation. You have a check on your hunger. So I guess it's so many things together. Just like it wasn't one thing that was a catalyst that started it. It was a season. Fixing it is never be one thing. And if Weight Watchers says I can fix it, and Jenny Craig says I can fix it, and Guru over here says I can fix it, they're all liars. We are not linear people. We cannot tackle this in a linear way. We need lots of tools, lots of support, lots of dedication, lots of cheering and mentoring. And that's why I go live and do it for free. And listen, a girl messaged me on Instagram yesterday morning, 7 o'clock, because I said, you could DM me off of a tip I learned from somebody. She DMs me and she goes, hey,
DM, direct message for those
yeah,
people who don't know. Yeah.
I didn't even know what that meant, like, until a few weeks ago, right? I got them filled up, but we had like an auto thing that was going somewhere else. So I don't even really know. So, but I read a tip. So she pops up and she sends me before and after and says, shh, don't tell. I live up in New York. I've been following you for months. Never spent a penny with you, but I've lost 35 pounds. I'm
Oh,
happier than I've ever been. I get them, Laurie, all day long.
oh, I
And
love
it
that.
is
What
not,
a
I tell
treat.
the
Yeah,
story.
I love, yeah, because on occasion, like I got an email yesterday and it was just somebody just replying to my weekly, oh, I have a new podcast. And she was just like, I love what you do. Thank you so much. This podcast resonated with me. And it's like, she'd have to take that took her time, but
Yeah.
it was just like, it's just like this little gem that you
I'm
get. And
grateful
yeah,
for it. I thank
yeah,
God for it every
mhm,
day. I do. I'm so very grateful for it,
yeah,
because I just, it isn't, it's not that I have anything new under the sun.
yeah,
It's just that it came down to healthy habits,
yeah.
and
And
it
did you chit
came
chat
down.
longer with her? Like, did you learn any more about her? About like what's changed? Or I mean,
Yeah.
it's great to hear that the life has changed so much, but I
No,
like the
no,
details.
just a little bit of
Yeah.
what I teach people in the whole a new way to look at it.
Hmm.
Like, you got this, look. you'll never get there. It is not about a destination, it's a journey.
Mhm.
Whether it's your career, your marriage, I don't know that we get there. I don't. I think we have to have the destination because I think it gets better and better. And I think that as you, because you can say, I need to lose 130 pounds and be a size 8. Then what?
Well, you're not happy until you get there, right? That's
No,
kind of like the
you can be
mindset.
you no, listen, if you take care of yourself every day, you can be happy. But my point is you get there and then what?
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
have
But
to
I'm
learn to,
like, if you're always like, is the destination is the only reward for you, then what you need to have
yes,
reward.
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
better
yeah.
way
That's
to
what I,
say it,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
almost like you have to embrace the process because you know the prize is
Hmm.
at the end.
Yeah.
Right? So you're willing to pay the price because you can see a prize. But at the end, that prize may not look like, I thought I'd get to 149 pounds to be happy. I didn't know I could be perfectly happy at 165, 170. I thought, well, you know what I mean? In my mind, but I didn't lose it that way like that, Lori. I didn't jump on the scale every day. I didn't go, oh, I ate too much. Oh, I didn't. When I made up my mind, I was done with food controlling my life. I was done.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm done. Food don't control my life anymore.
Yeah. And
And
what one thing that I like about you, and uh, I'll just say it, you're just like no shit Sherlock. You know, you're like you don't put up with anybody's excuses. It's like,
well, it's just I can't do it. It's
yeah,
just a lie, and it's them. It's me giving them space to continue to give themselves grace, and the end is death with a fork.
yeah.
Now, why would I do that?
Yeah,
It's like,
it's like you don't coddle, you don't like, people want to like find excuses or reasons why they can't or they shouldn't or couldn't or whatever. And you're like,
that
it's on you and
And
you're
it's
like,
not on them if they don't know. And that's the difference, Lori,
mhm,
right? So when people come to me and they go, well, why shouldn't I eat 5 small meals a day? My doctor told me to. That's because you've been eating 22 big meals a day for 22 years and you've got way too much meat on your bones and your body needs a rest.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing I can teach people too is like we all eat too much. And
Hmm.
that's to your point. I
Hmm.
can't coddle them because the truth is we all eat too much. And if we want to do that reverse diet stuff, because I mean, I got my own stuff. If you want to do that stuff where you can get down to the how many exactly grains of barley you can take in and how much quinoa and how many pieces of fat meat, and you want to spend your day doing that, have at it. But I didn't lose 130 pounds to be obsessed over food.
Good.
I'm gonna check the box on that one, and to me, I stick with mostly one ingredients in this house. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, lean meats. If it's a treat, it's a few bites and I move on. If I go
Hmm.
out, I splurge a little bit, but it's usually a split entree. So, I mean, that's the stuff I teach people. You
Well, and
can't,
also people don't realize the calories in some things that are
they
hidden,
don't.
like drinks. Like they
Listen,
think, oh, when I drink something, that's no calories.
no,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
how much hard a time I've had convincing my husband, who's lived with me through every phase, and he knew me since I was 12. So he knew me since I was about 100 pounds, literally, and he's known me all the way up to 311. And every day, he says, I just don't think that tequila has any calories. And I said, honey, a sugar alcohol is double. So if somebody makes you a cocktail and they say to you, now this is 600 calories, well, to your body and to your waistline, it's 1200.
Mm.
So if you
And I
want to
know
have
margaritas are like one of the most high
any of it,
calorie. Yeah.
I don't eat sugar sweet margaritas, tequila on the rocks, which is 80 or 100 calories, it's 200.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, that's what it does to your waistline. You just, and look, I like it too. But it's just that's another thing too, I guess. That's a whole nother thing on alcohol. 'Cause
Episode. Yeah.
I like to drink too, and I do, but I couldn't when I was losing, Lori,
Yeah. And I would
because
like
it
to say too.
calls the scale.
Yeah. I would like to say too, so people know what your background with your husband is. He's your second husband.
Yes.
And he was a reconnection similar to like my reconnection.
He
Yeah.
was,
So I
and it was
like
the
that.
best thing that ever happened to me ever in my life because I was divorced with 3 little kids. I was a nurse working night shift and, just shuttling my kids back and forth between their daddy. And, it's just hard, man. They're in those hard ages. They were like 4, 8, and 10 or something like that. And Wayne comes back into my life, and 9 months later, we're married. And we just, I got to tell you, it ain't always been the bestest of bestest, but it ain't never been the lowest of lows. And
Mm,
I am always thankful for the in between.
yeah. And you've been married then for many years.
22 years.
22.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
great.
telling you, I tell everybody around here, in my community, we've got ourselves a therapist. It's a sex therapist.
Oh,
And
that's right. You
yeah,
told me
she's an
that.
OBGYN that knows her stuff. And I'll tell you, things have heated up at our house. So it's good to be 55, and I'll take my size 8 any day over a
Yeah.
24.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I remember I should have her on my podcast. I've had 2 episodes that revolved around sex, and I must say
You
that
should.
I was
You would.
very squirmy. I was very squirmy. One, she was great, but I didn't realize she specialized in kinky sex. So
Oh,
that was like kind of out of my league. And then the
give her
other
my
one,
number. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So she was Lisa was telling me about her coming on into the community and talking about dildos. So we can
Yeah.
say that word here.
Oh, I tell you, it was. I mean, I
So
like I
it's
said,
not
I'm
just
not.
weight loss. It's not just weight
No,
loss. It's weight
no.
loss and how to use dildos.
I mean, it is how to do anything you want to do 101. I know it was more along the lines of, just reconnecting with your body, and then come to find out, Lori, there are so many women that never connected with it to start off with. And it was, the things that I found out coaching all these women now in masses for 1 year is like, it's profound. The simple things that miss people. Just like I was saying, sometimes they just don't know. They're trying to eat the 5 small meals a day, and the next day they're going to count calories. And then somebody says, I did a 3-day detox and lost 10 pounds. And just like it was a season and a bunch of things that led to a big change for me, the healthy habits, that deciding that you have Jim Rohn calls it a day of disgust. That's it.
Mm.
I had my day of disgust now.
Mm.
And if all these other people can have traumatic childhoods, grow up dirt poor, be rich, be poor, be a celebrity, be a nobody, be whatever, and figure out how to lose weight and keep it off or be healthy, they're not smarter than me. And they're not, and I'm not smarter than anybody else. And all I've said is it's almost like it's a puzzle. And I think why my community has soared, I think why my success has soared, is because I've helped put the pieces together. And that's not really even for everybody, right? Because it is
Mhm.
individualized. Some
Right.
people would say, well, Lisa, this is one piece of your whatever you do, I don't need. And I'd be like, that's okay. And when people say, hey, you're not my girl, I'm like, go find her.
Yeah, and I think that's what you do so well is that you are just focused on the one person who's listening and needs that message.
Well, let me tell you, every woman that I've met, and there's been about 50,000 in the last 12 months, every single woman, 5 pounds, 100 pounds, has a problem with self love, self confidence. Most of them walk around saying they love themselves, but you know what? You don't. If you do not take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, you do not love yourself to
Yes.
the fullest extent you could and have the most beautiful life possible. You can't if you don't learn to love yourself. But here's the good news: you can wake up today and just say, I love myself. You can wake up today and make a choice. You can make a choice for happy. You can make a choice for health. You can make a choice to take care of yourself, or you can make a choice to stay right. And I've said it many, many times, many times. People do not wake up accidentally healthy, but they darn sure wake up accidentally sick, dying, and very unhealthy,
Mm.
because the choice for health is a choice, and it is a decision. And you can go to the max and be a fitness queen. I don't really want any of that. I want to be able to bend over and pick up stuff off the floor. I want to be able to play with my grandchildren and get in a bounce house. And hey, if somebody's chasing me, I want to be able to run, you
That's
know?
so powerful, Lisa. So
Well,
powerful. You
it's
don't
just,
wake up accidentally healthy, but you wake up
no,
accidentally sick.
heck
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Every day, millions of people that can
yeah.
barely get out of bed. It's
Mhm.
because nobody told them you've got to stop it and plan it.
Yeah. Mhm.
We're not taught core is a health is a core value.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's it.
Yeah. Part of my desire as a mother of two girls was to, and I don't think I did a good job because they ended up getting weight issues because I was so obsessed with it, but as role models, we can,
Wait,
that's our
you can't
responsibility.
say
Yeah.
you didn't do a good job, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I caught myself in the trap of that this last couple weeks because we can all go, well, if I knew what I knew now, and then I say, I can say that, or I can just pour into my grandchildren and go,
Exactly.
this is it now. I might have,
Exactly.
because it's not, you, I've even said like, God, I was not a great mother. But you know what? I taught my kids, Laura, the same thing you did. You taught them contrast. They can't know what they want till they know what they don't want,
Yes. I like
right?
that.
And I
Yeah.
mean, so yeah, could we always have done a better job if we had understood more? Well, yes, well, we didn't know more. So while you're here and while you're doing what you're doing, and while I'm here, I'm doing what I'm doing because now we know more. And
Mm,
all we want to do is share with people because we know more.
right.
And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. 1,000 people know more about other stuff than I know, and that's fine. But I know more about this than a lot of people. I
Yes.
do.
Yes. I believe it. Oh, wow. This has been so powerful. So you've left so many great nuggets that I don't know if one last word is going to be any better, but I just, and like you said, is just, that's what I do when you were saying how you just want to inspire just with one thing they get from you. And that's what I want my guests to do. I want them to come on my podcast with the intent to inspire just one little action or one new thought or perspective. And so you've done so much in the 35 minutes we've been together. Is there anything else you want
Yes.
to? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And I'm going to
one,
play off what you said because it
uh-huh.
is the first thing I teach. And you
Mm-hmm.
said it. And it is about deciding to be the person you want to be versus the person that you are or that you were. One of the number one principles that I teach is sitting down and writing a day in your life, 1 year from now, 5 years from now. And it has to be like you woke up and you're in that day. You're in the bed with that person. You're in the city at that person. You're in the bedroom with the decor, with the open up to the pool or the ocean, a normal day in your life. Your belly is flat. You have hip bones. And you look over at your husband and go, I'm more in love than I've ever been. And you start writing that day. It is spring and the birds are chirping and that sun's coming out and I am going to get out with those dogs today. It feels so great to wear size 6. It feels so great that I don't open my eyes anymore and start thinking about having food for the day. It feels so great that my relationships are beautiful and I've grown into myself as a person and I've found a way to help other people. And you just write out to the biggest detail, the tiniest detail, the most, just it's from the birds chirping to what you're wearing to the beautiful earrings you have on. And then every day, and you fine tune that too, you fine tune it. And then you get it back down to what it looks like maybe in 6 months. And I'm telling you, if people will start to live their future instead of toil in the current or lament over the past, their lives will change. Their
Mm.
lives will change, their bodies will change, their relationships will change, their love for themselves. You don't have to love yourself to get started either. You don't have to love yourself or like yourself. You don't even have to have the right mindset.
Mm.
Do the
Yeah.
thing and you'll have the power.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I teach that too. It's super powerful. If we don't have a vision of where we want to go, we'll just flail. I saw, that there's the thing that fail to plan, plan to fail. I say plan to flail because that's what you do. If you
That's
don't have
true.
it, yeah. Yeah. And
I
what,
tell my people all the time, if you spend more time planning your grandchild's first birthday party than you spent planning what you're going to eat or your life for the next 3 months and trying to make a lifestyle change, shame on you. Because
see,
we got
that's like the no shit Sherlock
well,
I
we got
like.
to
Yeah.
spend time. We got
Yeah.
to spend time planning our life.
Yeah.
The people that get there, even though there isn't
Yeah.
really, they had a plan. I have
Well, and then
studied
they say,
happy,
they
healthy
say,
people.
yeah, that planning takes time. Well, how much time do you waste by not planning?
Listen,
So yeah.
you either want to be happy and healthy or you don't.
Yeah.
I've studied happy and healthy people. They
Hmm.
plan. They know
Yeah.
what
And
makes them happy.
the other thing that I want to say about a vision too is just and I'm sure you teach this too, is that sometimes we limit our visions because we don't think it's possible. If you think it, it's possible. If you want it, it's possible. The universe would not have, or God or the source or whatever you want to call it, would not have planted that little seed in your head of desire if it wasn't possible. And that, yeah,
Amen.
yeah,
I mean, for real, it's
yes,
true.
yeah,
It's true. You don't just like walk down the street one day and then say, oh, I think I just want to have huge success at this. No, we are all born great. We're
yeah.
all born great. We
Hmm.
all are born like with some kind of desire, I think, to be great, to lend ourselves to make a difference in the world.
Hmm.
But then all the
Yes.
stuff comes along, and if nobody teaches us how to deal with that, we eat it, we drink it, we smoke it, we
Yeah.
wreck our life around it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah.
just dealing with it. I don't know,
Yeah.
for
So
another time.
good.
Oh,
So good.
you're
So
so
good.
good.
Oh, well, I could
You're
talk
good at this.
forever.
Maybe I'll learn how to interview people.
Yeah, you should do a podcast. I love it so much because I get to meet interesting people like you. It's just so much
Oh,
fun. Just so much.
you
I'm good
let
at
me can I
talking.
just say to your listeners, can I just say this? You don't know me, but yet you were so kind to me, and kind to me business wise, to give me like little business advice and nuggets, big business advice and nuggets. And you don't know me, Lori, and that says a lot about you too. It does. It says a lot about you because you don't know me, and I'm just out here, a girl lost a bunch of weight, now it's turned it into a business and helped a lot of people. But there's so much more I want to do, but it's meeting people like you that kind of can help me on my path, and I want to help you on yours right back.
Oh, thank you so much. And I think, it's funny because I've evolved a lot as a human being in this process of personal development journey that I've walked and then try to teach. But it's funny because like when people used to reach out to me a few years ago, I would be like, when I had my Beachbody business, I'd be like, what do they want? What do they want? That was kind of like my first reaction. And now I'm like, ooh, a new person. Like, what can I
Yes,
learn
because
from
it's the
them?
law of attraction,
What can I
right?
learn? I mean, I like, this is an interesting person. Maybe she'll teach me something. And so I think, and I think there's also, I feel I can tell when somebody is genuine and somebody has a good spirit, and that's you. And so I think
Well,
anybody,
I'm trying, girl, and I have to tell you, and my husband will tell you, I haven't always.
yeah,
I've always, it's a choice. Every day is a choice, no matter who's president, no matter what pandemic's going around, no matter how much
yeah,
you weigh, you know,
yeah,
just a
yep,
choice to get up,
yep, yep,
be
yep.
happy. Thank
All
you.
right, Lisa, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch because you're
I hope we
just such
do.
a gem, and I like your energy and spirit. And
And
so
you're going to come on
yes,
and do one
yeah,
for
I'll
my
call.
community. All
Sure,
right.
sure. I
We're going to
can't
set,
talk dildos, but I'll talk about something
girl, I
else.
hope you can't. Trust me.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
so much.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.